I pray for happiness and a whole lot of love in my country. But I pray for the police, please inspire them.
Blessed morning to all who are joining us right here on Real 91.9 FM on the conversation with the Rgpf. And it's another wonderful Wednesday morning. And of course, welcome to that program this morning. As I promised you last week, we are going to be back. And here we are this morning with another program, the conversation with the Rgpf. And we are going to continue to disseminate information to you that is relevant for your knowledge and understanding. And of course, that which will equip you to have a better knowledge of the law so that we can work together as persons within the community, within Grenada, the Tri-Island State on a whole, to create a safer environment, a safer country. And for this morning program, I'm your host, Constable Callis, 26, a member of the Royal Grenada Police Force attached to the Community Relations Department, Eastern Division, and it's always a good pleasure being in studios with you. And of course, in studios with me as my guest this morning is no other person than Corporal Alexander, number 597, attached to the Immigration Department. And for our discussion over the next 45 minutes, we are going to talk a little bit about the Immigration Department and some of the services that are provided and issues, the issuing of passports and like such other areas within the department. We know for a fact that the Immigration Department is just as important as every other department within the Royal Grenada Police Force. So I take this opportunity now to greet you, Corporal Alexander. Blessed morning to you and welcome to the program, The Conversation with the Rgpf.
All right, so good morning. Thank you and good morning to all the listeners of Real FM Radio.
Great. And how is immigration today?
Immigration is good. Immigration is doing good. We're trying to provide an excellent service to serve the general public. So we're trying our best.
Wonderful. I know we are about to speak a bit about the issuing issues surrounding passports, and we want to look at the whole structure as relates to that of the application process of passports and who can apply for it and like such.
All right. So as I said, good morning. So citizens of Grenada who wish to apply, in order to apply for a CARICOM Grenada passport, you must be a citizen of Grenada. Okay. So you could be a citizen of Grenada either by birth, could be a citizen by registration, naturalization, or investment.
Okay,
So
good.
that's some of the grounds that you can be a citizen of Grenada.
Right. So the end through all of these categories, how does the application process, or where does the application process start?
All right. So in order for someone to obtain a passport, so I'll start first with first-time applicant, someone applying for a passport for the first time. Okay. So first-time applicant, let me see an adult, 18 years and over, because there is difference between adult and children. So
Yes,
I'll touch on the
yes.
adult, 18 years and over, then I'll speak about
The minors.
under 18 years. Okay.
Okay, great.
Right. So applicant applying for first-time applicant, 18 years and over. So you need to first of all fill and complete a passport application form. That's the first step. Next step, you need to obtain 2 passport size photo. You also need a official copy of your birth certificate. If it's a married woman, you also need an official copy of your marriage certificate. You also need to pay the relevant fees that for an adult 18 years and over, $350 that can be paid at any Inland Revenue Department, or you can also pay that online. You can go online at pay.gov.gd, government website. You can pay that online, and then you have to print that receipt, and that receipt will be accompanied with the new application. Also, there is when you came into the office to drop off that application, we have a questionnaire form. First time applicant need to fill out what you call a questionnaire form. That form will be provided to you when you come to the immigration office to apply for your passport. And also you will need also a copy of an ID, any identification, if you're NIS, driver's license, or whatever
Form of
form of
identification.
identification you have. You
Okay,
also
good.
need to make a copy of that and work with the photocopy. That should also accompany the application.
All
So
right.
that generally the requirements for first time applicants, 18 years and over.
So as relates to the application for the minors or children who are under 18, what process? How does that process take place?
All right. So for minors, 18, sorry, children under 18 years. So all you need the application form also, an official birth certificate, the passport pictures, two passport size pictures. The fee for children under 18 years is $250, different from adults. Okay, so it's fees on 18 years and under, $250. That's the fee. Also, children under 18 years will also need your parental consent, or what you call parental consent or guidance, or your parent or guardian consent in order to obtain a passport. So if you look on an application form in section 9 of the application form, sorry, section 8, which state if minor or persons with mental or legal incapacity, legal guardian consent. So that section must be completed by the parent or guardian. And what normally happens in the recommendation area, a lot of persons tend to make a lot of mistake when they're doing the recommendation for minor. I'll speak about the recommendation. I'm speaking about section 11, declaration of the recommender.
The recommender. Okay.
Right. So what happened in the first place, the recommender need to put I, name and surname, the recommender name, or then in the second block you have the second line, then the name of the child. The third place, so what you're doing for the amount of years, you have to put in the name of the applicant. So in that area now, you don't have to put in the child name there. That's where you put in the name of the applicant. The parents' name should be
Okay. In that slot
in that
right
section, and the
Okay.
amount of years should be the amount of years the person know the applicant.
The applicant.
That's the parent. So you don't recommend any child. If child is underage, child is unable to apply for a passport. So in that area now, you have to put how long you know the parent
there.
or
Parent of
guardian
that
for.
child.
Yes.
Okay. Very well. Very well. Right. I know you spoke of the declaration, and then there are some other important aspects of the form that sometimes people are misguided by. Especially the latter part of the form where they have to put in the signature and so forth. How much you could tell us about that aspect of it?
All right. So first of all, let me just touch on the recommendation. Okay. So persons who are eligible to sign a passport form for someone. So if someone need to apply for a passport, there is certain persons that are eligible could sign or do what we call a recommendation. Okay. So there is a list of persons who are eligible to recommend a form. Okay. So we have a member of parliament, a justice of the peace, minister of religion, medical or legal practitioner. We have established civil servants, principals and other qualified teachers, bank official, police officers. When we speak of police officers, it must be of the rank of sergeant and above, or any other of similar standing. And I want to say that a recommender who is not a citizen of Grenada, a recommender who is not a citizen of Grenada is accepted only if he or she is a legal practitioner. And they say that a member of the passport immediate family is not accepted as a recommender.
As a recommender. Okay. All right, fair. Now that we have that aspect of the application process cleared up, and most persons would understand, how the process of the passport is done. Let's look at some of the different types of passports that the immigration service provides for citizens on a whole.
All right, so basically, the immigration department issued three types of passport. We have the diplomatic passport, we have the official passport, and the regular passport. So I'll just go into details, a little more details into the different type of passport.
Definitely.
Okay. So we have the diplomatic passport. So the diplomatic passport is issued to Grenadian diplomats, government officials, and their families. So it allows holders to travel to many countries without a visa and receive other benefits. Okay. So who can hold a diplomatic passport? Somebody might ask a question. Who is
Yes,
entitled to
yes.
hold a
Who's
diplomatic
entitled to
passport?
hold that? Yes.
Okay. So who can hold a Grenadian diplomat accredited overseas? So what we mean by that? A diplomat who has been officially appointed and given credential to represent Grenada in another country. So that person would be issued a
And
diplomatic
then diplomat
passport.
passport. Okay.
Eligible dependent of Grenadian diplomats. Okay. Citizens of Grenada who travel abroad for diplomatic work. The Governor General of Grenada, you have the Prime Minister of Grenada, and other government ministers. These persons are entitled to hold a diplomatic passport. And but there are many benefits of the diplomatic passport. So, like visa-free travel to many countries, priority services at many embassies, you have potential tax benefit, diplomatic immunity. The diplomat have the privilege of exemption from certain laws in certain countries, and you have them special treatment at customs and border control because when you travel, diplomatic once you hold a diplomatic passport, there's a special line for diplomats, so easy access to
Easy access.
customs
So,
and immigration. Okay. So and then we have the official passport. So it is issued to person representing Grenada in a official capacity. We have persons the government deemed to be ambassadors. So we have like we have cultural ambassadors, we have sports ambassadors. So generally, who the government seems fit to hold a official passport.
official passport.
Yeah, and then we have the regular passport, which will be issued to the regular Grenadians. That's the one that issued to the normal Grenadian. That's the regular passport. So that's the three type of
That's the three
passport
type of
that's been
passports.
issued by the immigration department.
All right. Let's look at the aspect of someone who is not a Grenadian, but they're here on island and they intend to extend their stay over a period of time. What process should that individual go through?
Okay. Right. So there is a process for what you call extension. So if someone comes into the country as a visitor, normally you will be granted a certain time at the airport. Sometimes you'll be granted 3 months, depends on your status or your nationality, or you can also be granted up to 6 months if you is CARICOM national. Okay. So if someone need to apply for extension, as you say, you need to arrive. You need to go to the immigration and passport department in Grenada. That's where the only place that we issue extension, the immigration and passport, immigration main office. Okay, so you need to work with your passport. Sometimes you need to show a return ticket. When you go into the office, they will give you your state your business. They will give you a form. There is a form that you need to fill out for the extension, and they would give you a voucher. So you can apply for different months if you need to. We give extension by months. So you can apply for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. It all depends on your situation. So if you apply 1 month, $75 per month. So you fill that application form, then it will present it to the officer responsible for extension. He will then do a voucher for you. That voucher, you take that voucher, you go down to the Inland Revenue Department downstairs the immigration office. You pay your necessary fees, whatever, if it is 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, $75 per month, as I say. Then you return to the immigration office and that extension will be granted to you. Your officer would question you accordingly, maybe the reason for your extension and certain,
Okay.
and that extension will be granted to you.
Out of curiosity, as said, now someone may wish to extend, but if at some point in time they've been involved in some criminal activity, or maybe some conduct is not in standing with the law, based on he spoke about having to answer a questionnaire or anything, would that in itself involve um, that aspect of it, or is it just because of the extension?
Well, yes, as you said, if someone have any criminal activities, any background of criminal activities, the immigration department is aware, we have information that that person may or involved in some form of criminal activities, and that person comes for extension, of course, that extension will not be granted. It will be refused. It's not everybody that comes for extension that will be granted, because with a certain, we have a certain question we would pose to them. And if we're not satisfied with your reason for the extension, that extension will not be granted. So it's obviously, once you have a criminal background, or we suspect, or you're involved in criminal activities, you would not be granted an extension, of course.
Wonderful. Thank you, Corporal Alexander. And for those of you listening here, this is a conversation with the Rgpf. I'm a host for this morning program, Constable Tusis Callis of the Community Relations Department, Royal Grenadier Police Force, Eastern Division. And we're speaking of issues surrounding passports. And we are going to be right back with you in studios. And of course, you can make your comments, you can call in, and if there's any question that you would like to ask to clear up anything, you are welcome to do so. So we're going to be right back with you in studios with the conversation with the RGP.
Country. Father, I pray for the woman who gave herself to prostitution. Oh, Father, oh, Father. I pray for the lovely young lady who raising her child without daddy. Oh, Father, oh, Father. I pray and I pray, I pray and I pray. I pray for the corner, the job man. I pray and I pray, I pray and I pray. I pray for the whole of the nation. Oh, Father, I pray for my country. Make us to dwell in love and peace with each other, oh Father. Pray for my country. I want to pray for the preacher man and the churches. I want to say a prayer for the doctors and the nurses. I want to beg the master to give them inspiration as they fight to prolong the lives of our loved ones. I want to say a prayer for the school teachers. But they are the ones.
Thank you again, and welcome back to the program, The Conversation with the RGPF. And in studios with me is no other person than Corporal 597 Alexander, officer in charge of the Immigration Department of the Eastern Division. Is located right there at the Granville Police Station. All right, so in case you have any questions, anything you want to clarify, and you want to source your passport, make your application for your passport, definitely you can visit him and his other staff at the department there at the Granville Police Station to have such done. I said that we are speaking as to issues surrounding passports, and if you are now joining us, we spoke of the application process, we spoke of the different types of passport, and we spoke of the extension, persons who are in Ireland or on the island and are wanting to have their time extended. There's a process that he or she would have to go through. But as we go on to the other segment of the program this morning, Couple, I want to be able to ask the question, the process of retrieving passport when it is lost or damaged, what process that involves? So individual may lose a passport. They may have in the instance where reconstruction is taking place at home, and or by some misfortune, that passport is lost or damaged. What is the process that one would have to go through in order to regain a new passport?
All right. So if someone passport is lost or stolen, we look at the what first of all you check if the passport is valid. Okay, so let me talk about it. If it's valid and it's lost or stolen. So the first thing you need to do, you need to make an official report to the nearest police station. Okay, so you're going to the nearest police station, you make an official report. A statement will be obtained from you. An official copy of that statement will be make sure that so you need to give a official statement surrounding the circumstances of the lost or stolen. So that statement will be obtained from you by the officer, and then that would be processed and sent to police headquarters. So what you need to do, you need to reapply. So when you're reapplying for a replacement passport, you need to submit all the necessary documents. Like you're applying for the first time, so you need to submit all the previous documents I spoke of initially. Apply. In addition, what you need to do, you need to obtain a copy of that statement that you give to the officer at the police station. Okay.
Okay.
So that statement, you need to obtain a copy of that statement from the commissioner of police. Okay. And the fees for that passport, once the passport is valid, the fee for a lost or stolen passport that is valid is 700 EC. Okay, so it's different from a normal passport, normal 350 passport that is you're applying for. So that's basically the process for a passport that is. But if your passport is expired and is lost or stolen, you can reapply all over. You don't need to make that report to the station. You can just reapply. But what you do, you submit all the necessary documents, and when you come into the office, we have what you call a lost, stolen, or damaged passport form that we fill out when you come into the office. Okay, so that form will be only done when you comes in to make that application. So if your passport is expired, it's not necessary you need to report it or obtain a copy of the statement. Once it expired, you can come in, make your regular application, all the necessary documents, and you will have to fill in that lost, stolen, or damaged passport application form when it comes to apply at the immigration office.
So throughout all this process, right, an investigation is conducted as to the report that was made by a particular citizen or client. And let's just suppose that it is found out based on investigation that the passport was not lost, it was not damaged or so. Is there any penalties that one can be charged with in terms of giving that false report or that false declaration?
Yes, they could be charged. I mean, we normally conduct our whole internal investigation. If someone reported a passport lost or stolen, we do our own internal investigation to get more information concerning. And if it is found out that the person did make a false declaration, they can and will be charged for false information, providing false information to the immigration department. They can be charged for that. It's an offense.
Okay, wonderful. Because I know sometimes people may not see the passport for a while. Maybe they don't know exactly where they would have placed it. Because they didn't have it at a safe place, and then time to travel, then you realize, well, I can't find my passport, and report the passport is lost or stolen. And then a few weeks after, months after, they come back and they search somewhere within the house and they get that passport, or other issues surrounding this. For example, with all of the domestic situations that we may have within our society, likewise, you have issues with boyfriend, girlfriend, child is mine, and I want the child to go with the father, the child that travel, father take passport or mother take passport, and all these things. And I mean, there's a lot of issues, surrounding all of those things. And then one might just come and make that statement that the child passport is lost rather than claiming that the father took the passport because he doesn't want the child to travel, or mommy took, or auntie or so. Yeah. So a lot of times we find ourselves in that situations, but it is clear that once a false declaration is made as relates to the passport, then of course one can be charged for it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Of great concern, the issue of tampering with passports. What can we enlighten the general public of in regards to tampering of passports?
All right. So it's an offense to tamper with or tamper what you call alter or tamper with a passport, because it's fall under the offenses of the Passport Act, Chapter 226 of the Passport Act. Yeah, Chapter 226 of the Passport Act. There is a number of offenses that is online, and offenses and penalties that is highlighted by the offenses. So one of them, as rightly said, is the altering and tampering of a passport. So as we say, a passport is an official document and it belongs to the government of Grenada. Okay, and a passport can be retrieved at any time. It's not it just what you call is the beer, but it's the property of the government of Grenada. Okay, so you cannot alter or tamper with a passport. You cannot if there is any you observe that there is any mistake or there is a spelling something with the name or some with some data about or something, you cannot just alter it or make any changes. You have to bring it back to the immigration department so we can make the necessary changes. So it's an offense, as you said, to alter or tamper with a passport. Not only alter and tamper, there's a number of different offenses. As you say that alter or tamper, let me just highlight some of the other
Sure,
offenses
of other offenses relating to passports.
under the
Yes.
Passport Act. Okay, so the first one is, as you said, is alter and tamper with a passport. So we have anyone who found in unlawful possession of a passport. So you have a passport, unlawful possession. You cannot give it not belong to you. You cannot give a good account of where you
Have it in your
have it in
possession.
your possession. That's an offense. And you see, on finding a passport, you neglect or fails within 7 days of finding to send or give it to a passport officer or to an officer in charge of nearest police station. It's also an offense. See, by personation or false representation, holds himself or herself out as being the holder or the rightful possessor of a passport when he is not. Okay, so you try to, for example, you have someone passport, you're a twin, you might take your brother passport and try to use it and travel, or using someone else's passport then.
And the
It's not
means
yours,
of
it's not belongs to you. So in other words, you're trying to claim someone identity. It's not yours, but you're trying to use someone else's passport. It's an offense. Okay.
You were saying just a while ago that persons who may find a passport, right, they have at least 7 days to bring that into the relevant authority, to the nearest station or to immigration department, right? All right. I just wanted to be able to clarify that aspect of it. And if they fail to do so within 7 days, it's an offense.
Yes, it's an
Oh,
offense
okay.
under the Passport Act.
Under the Passport
Yes,
Act.
so persons should be mindful that if you hold there and you find a passport, just bring it into the nearest police station. Nearest police station or you can drop it to the immigration department. So you cannot keep it for more than 7 days. So if it's signed, you can be charged for unlawful possession.
Unlawful possession.
Yeah. All right, so let me just continue. There's a few other things I want to highlight. By personation of false representation, procure or attempt to procure the issue of a passport to himself or herself or to another person. So some person might try to obtain a passport, use false someone else's birth certificate to obtain a passport. It's an offense. You cannot use somebody else's document to obtain a
To obtain
passport for
passport.
yourself. That's an offense. So you part with the possession of a passport to another person without lawful authority or for unlawful purpose. Destroy or make away the passport, or by willfully neglect allow any person to obtain possession of a passport without having actual personal knowledge of an applicant for a passport. Make a declaration verifying the declaration of the applicant or vowing for the fitness of the applicant to receive a passport, or make such a declaration merely on information obtained shall be guilty of offense. So that merely speaks to the person that doing the recommendation.
Okay.
So it's a serious
Okay.
thing. Some person might come to you and say, "Well, look, can you just sign a passport form for me?" But you don't know the person, or the law said that you must know the person at least 2 years and above in order to sign or do the recommendation for someone. So person should be mindful that you cannot just sign a passport form for someone if you don't have personal knowledge of them or if you don't know them for more than 2 years. Also, you can be charged for that.
So is it like in Grenada we say everybody know somebody, and so yes, everybody know the John family, and so because John's family and come to represent to get a passport, you as the GP may not know the other individual that the John family is asking as of a recommendation for. So it is advisable that if you don't know that person within a 2-year period, that they should not
Not sign.
be able to sign that passport.
Yeah, so most person might just, based on information, they might just sign it, They say, well,
Because they know everybody.
you know everybody, but the law said that you should know the person at least 2 years to do
In order to do that,
do the
that's a recommendation.
recommendation for someone to obtain a passport.
Quite clear, quite clear.
So so the penalty for all of this, so every person is guilty of an offense under this section shall be liable on summary conviction to imprisonment for 1 year or a fine of $400, and in default of payment to a fine, for never payment to imprisonment for up to 1 year. So that's the penalty for
Either of
different
under this
offenses
offenses under the passport act. Let's look a little bit at some of the other express services that the immigration department offers to the country on a whole.
Yes, so the immigration department offers what you call emergency and express service. So if someone have an emergency and you cannot wait for the normal processing time of a passport, normally maybe around 3 to 5 days, you have an emergency, you can apply for what you call an emergency service or an express service. So the emergency service, you pay an extra $100 beside the normal price of the passport, which will be $350. You pay an extra $100, but that service is you have to go into the immigration office, speak to the immigration officer, and once they say it's okay, they would give you a voucher. You go downstairs to the Inland Revenue Department, pay that extra $100, and you can apply for that passport, and that passport can be issued to you within a 24-hour period. And the express service is still the same format, but the price is different. So the emergency service, the extra $100, the express service, extra $50, and the express service you can obtain your passport within a 48-hour period. So the emergency service you can get within 24 hours, and the express service within a 48-hour period.
Someone who is listening to the program is asking the question: if they find a passport and they are not in the position right away within the 7 days to turn it into the police station or the immigration, can they call the immigration department or the police station and inform them that they would have found a passport and but they are not in a position to be able to bring it in? They're asking what if that can be done.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, once there is, the information is all there, inform, we call, hey, look, we call this nearest police station on the immigration department and say, hey, look, I'm in possession of a passport. I found a passport. I am unable to bring it in within the 7 days. That's okay. We can make arrangement to maybe find the person to go collect that passport if that person cannot come to deliver that passport. It's okay. We can adjust, make arrangement to collect that passport. That's not a problem.
All right, let's look at some of the other services that, of course, the immigration department offers to the country. I know immigration is a wide span of responsibilities and mandates that are surrounding the department. So let's go a little bit into some of the other services that the department offers.
All right. So beside we offered, beside the extension, we do endorse passport, we do visa. Okay, so if someone comes into the country, there's different countries that require visa. So as our countries, different countries have their own visa restriction on different countries. Okay, so we do issue visa on arrival. So if someone comes in, for example, a Nigerian, you need visa to come to the country. So the procedure is that you need to make an application first. But if your visa is not issued, we can issue that visa upon arrival. That visa can be issued to you on the airport, or you can be referred to the immigration main office where that visa will be issued to you. We have two types of visa. We have single entry visa, which is valid for 3 months, and we issue what you call a multiple entry visa. Okay, it's valid for 1 year. The multiple entry, sorry, yeah, it's valid for one year, and the single entry visa is valid for 3 months. We also do endorse of work permit. Persons who have issued work permits and they would like to have their work permit endorsed in their passport, they will have to work with that work permit and work with their passport so we can make that endorsement. We have a special stamp that we endorse that work permit in that passport. So when the person travels and they come back into the country, they don't really have to work with the with the work permit itself. That work permit will be endorsed in the passport, and once the officer on arrival, you can show it to the officer that you have a work permit endorsed in that passport. And so there's different services. We also offer what you call permanent resident. We also endorse permanent resident in passport. Persons holding permanent resident card, you can work with that, coming to the immigration office, that permanent resident card, and that can be endorsed in your passport also.
Okay. Of concern, Corporal, we often hear of persons are being deported because they overstayed or they have committed some offense or they came into the country illegally, and they are normally called PIs, or we say prohibited immigrants. What's the process of dealing with persons who are found contravening that aspect of the law under the Immigration Act?
All right. So if someone comes in, well, what you thought in order for someone to be, I would say, deported or sent out of the country or removed from the country, they must violate one of the immigration act. One of the immigration act. Okay. So as you say, entering the country without the consent of an immigration officer. Let me speak about this one because that's the most common one that we normally have persons violating. Someone might comes into the country, they fail to report to the immigration officer. They just comes into the country, didn't check with the immigration officer. We normally call that illegal entry or entering the country without the consent of an immigration officer. So that person would be picked up once we have information that someone is illegally. That person will pick up that person, will process that person, before a charge. That person will be brought to court, taken before the magistrate, and the magistrate will normally we normally sign what you call a removal order. If it's just a simple entering the state with the consent of an immigration officer, we normally make out what you call a Form K. It's a removal order.
Okay.
Sign. So we fill out that form together with the case file, and the magistrate normally sign that Form K is a removal order, and that person would be, it's ordering the person to be removed out of the state. So we'll normally remove that person. After that person go to court, and the magistrate may sometime it may be also a fine may be imposed together with the removal order. So that person will have to pay that fine, and then we'll have that person removed from the state and back to their country of origin. Once you're sending someone out of the country, you must send them to a country of the origin, of someone where they have some kind of belonging. Either they have some form of resident, permanent residence, or there's a citizens of the country. You must send someone to one of these countries where they have some belongings.
Now, there are cases, and I often hear people speak of this. There are cases where someone may have come into the country, they may have come in legally through the consent of an immigration officer. They're here for 6 months, they may have gotten an extension. However, they're at the point where they maybe start a family, you know, they're here for a while, they got pregnant, have a child, but they have not applied for an extension thereafter that second process has finished. And person would ask the question, if immigration finds me, would I be deported or would I be granted any extension of time because I have a child or so? Anything that you could speak in regards to that?
Well, yes, basically, if someone is here, maybe they might overstay the time for maybe, as you rightly said, if the person have a family, they come here, they was granted 6 months and they end up having a family here, they might have child or something, they might, and we have information that a person may overstay the time maybe by a couple months. What normally happens is that we would grant that person extension, but they will have to pay for the amount of months that they've been here illegal. So if you're here, say for example, you spend your 6 months and you're here another 3 months and you didn't report for an extension. If once we pick you up and we interview you and we it is come to the realization that you have overstayed your time, we normally would give you that time to pay that fees. The what you ever owe. If you know you overstayed by 3 months, you pay the necessary fees, and then we normally bring you up to standard, up to
The
grade,
time, the
up to
time
time,
of
yeah, up to
okay.
time, yeah. So you pay whatever you owe, and then you give you maybe the time to get some extension, so you can status your status will be regularized. Then you will give you time to regularize your status.
So is it practical that when one is granted a 6 months stay within the country, is it practical where the immigration department officer goes back into the system to look and see if that person still remain in the country or has moved back to the country after whatever time limit they would have got?
Yeah, well, we have our border control system that we normally makes our checks and balances. So we can do our checks. Once you yeah, we normally do our check. We check with our border control system to ensure that persons are keeping the status updated. And once it thing, we normally would contact you, or find you and make you have person to normally up regularize the status. If you here, get in touch with you, if you have the information, get you to bring you up to standard, get you,
So that you're in standing of the
yeah,
law, the
with the law,
immigration
yeah,
law,
make
and
sure
make
that
sure.
to regularize your status, make sure that you're legal, you're not illegal, you don't overstay your time. Yeah.
Wonderful. We are down to the last few minutes of the program this morning, the conversation with the RGPF. Are there any other information that you would like to relate to the listening public this morning as relates to the immigration and services or any other thing that might be of importance?
Yeah, but just like to encourage persons to ensure that they secure their travel documents properly, because we have a lot of cases where persons normally go and do transaction, they use their passport to go and do transaction, and on the return home, they realize their passport is missing. For some reason or not, they might rest it down somewhere and they forget to pick it up. But a lot of the reports we getting of passport missing is them kind of scenarios. Person go and do transaction with a travel document, and when they get home, they realize they don't have the travel document. So ensure that you always check, make sure you have your documents with you. Don't put it on. You might have it in a bag, or sometimes they. In most cases, that's most prevalent cases we have persons last in the travel document, they go and do transaction, and when they reach home, or they reach home and and when certain time, they realize they have to travel, they go look for the documents and they realize it's missing, it's not there. Okay, and lastly, persons, don't like to inform person that if you have any information of anyone who might be illegal in the country, comes in illegal or maybe working without a work permit or no, have any information of any persons that enters the immigration department, feel free to inform the immigration department or the nearest police station, and we can assure you that information will be treated confidential. So if you have any information, someone working illegal or someone illegal in the country, or what I would like to highlight again, person should not harbor. If you know someone is illegal, don't harbor them. Don't have a illegal person in your custody. You can be charged for harboring. So if you know someone is illegal in the country and you have them in your custody, you can also be charged for harboring. Okay, so
I think that is very important. We need to ensure that our borders are safe, as well, and of course, our country, all that is happening within the world and within the Caribbean borders. I think it's very important, as you rightly said, that one should not harbor, someone who comes into the country without the consent of an immigration officer, because they too can be charged for harboring someone who comes into the country illegally. So on this point, we want to thank all of you listening public this morning who would have joined us here on the conversation with the Rgpf on this wonderful Wednesday morning. And of course, it was always and is going to be a pleasure to be in studios with you to continue to share information. And to you again, Couple Alexander, thank you very much for being our guest this morning on the program, the conversation with the Rgpf. And we do look forward to have you some other time again to speak on other aspects in relation to immigration. And thank you all, and do have a wonderful Wednesday. I'm your host, and for today, Constable Callis, and do have a wonderful Wednesday. God bless you. Lock and stay.
Oh, Father, oh, Father, I pray for the elders and the little babies. I pray for the prisoners and each and every one in my country. I know it's plenty to mention, but I must pray for them Calypsonian. Oh, Father, I pray for NCCDC, the GPCA and family.